All right, everybody, welcome back. Episode 3 of Phoenix Rising, the podcast. Ryan Sikora, Kevin Cardez. A third one, a good one coming up for you today. Patrick Rakovsky is going to join us in a moment. A goalkeeper battle ensuing here in Phoenix. One of the better storytellers across the USL Championship, in my opinion.
No doubt. Of the 3 episodes we've now recorded, Rakovsky was far and away the funniest storyteller that we've had. Just an absolute joy to talk to. Gave us great insight to being a teammate, but also being a competitor when you're trying to be the number one goalkeeper on the team. And that stretches all the way back to his youth career, so we get a really good insight into where he came from and where he is now.
It's a long one. It's 45 or so minutes, so stick it on in the car for a long drive. The youth stuff is really good. He gives you a whole insight to his career path and a little bit on Pamadou Ka as well. So we'll head to that one right now. Joined now by Patrick Rakovsky, here the goalkeeper for Phoenix Rising, now one of the longest tenured members of this Phoenix Rising team, one of just 4 remaining players from the championship a couple of years ago. Patrick, first of all, thank you for taking the time with us here on this afternoon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We'll start, I guess, with this offseason. And we mentioned you're one of 4 guys that was a part of that championship team in 2023. You play behind Rocco Rios Novo last year, and you make the decision. You weren't a part of the initial players picked up, but you make the decision to come back to Phoenix again this year. Can you take everybody through your thought process on why you're here again?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Rocco was here. He was the clear number 1. I felt I trained and behaved kind of really well during the whole season, also the year before. And I thought actually he's going to stay. So I kind of was in my mindset like, okay, I'm going to move on. I want to play again as a number 1. I'm going to go somewhere, get a chance to play. And then Phoenix Rising came back to me. I was like, hey, Rocco's leaving, want you back? And that obviously changed my opinion, my thought process, and mostly my wife, my family is from here. And already many years back, I mean, I don't know if many people know that, but I met my wife 2017. And at that point, 2017, 2018, I came here obviously during my off-season and said, I want to play here. Like at some point I want to play here. So this obviously gave me then another reason. Okay, maybe now it's my time to finally play here and not just be on a bench. So yeah, easy decision for me then to stay.
How important was your family and kind of that factor? Obviously getting the chance to potentially compete for a number 1 job is enticing, but knowing that this is where your family is from and where your kids are growing up.
I mean, obviously it helps us as my wife and me to have family around here. Everyone who has kids knows how hard it is to be alone. We got our son in Finland. We didn't really spoke the language, even though they speak English really well. We had a lot of friends there, but in general it was difficult. You know, you don't get that little release, a little break. So having that here helps me and my wife a lot. So it's definitely easier with family than without family.
So obviously in a goalkeeper competition for the number 1 spot right now, but how important is it to maintain the lines between being a competitor, knowing that you want to be the number 1, and regardless of who wins the starting job, you or Tristan, you guys still have to go back to the same bench. You still are teammates after this is over. How do you walk that line in between these competitions in this preseason?
I mean, last year was much easier. What means easier? It was hard for me because I knew Rocco's coming back. That's probably not going to change anything. But in general, it's difficult because obviously you want to be a good teammate and you don't want to be mean or etc. On the other side, he wants your spot, / I want his spot. So it's a small line in between of competitiveness and being teammates. I think what I usually had during my season is after the preseason, when the decision was made who's number 1, in my opinion, usually calms a little bit down. Not that the training changes, but right now we are both competitive, want to play. I don't wish him anything bad, but I generally don't want to make him do well, if that makes sense. Like, I want to play. I want to be the better keeper. I want to play. And I feel like after the preseason, usually, and also in the other position, I feel like things calm down. Still going to fight for the spot. If I will play, I will still need to defend my spot. And if I don't play, I'm still going to fight in every training to get that number 1 spot. But the preseason is just a little bit more stressful time.
It's a shift in understanding of now my job is to compete and do everything I can to get there first. And if you don't win the job or you win the job, it changes a little bit of saying, now I have to keep it or I have to go and win it, but also make sure I'm propping up the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the last 2 years and also my time in Germany where I was also like the second or third choice, it's during the week you compete for the number 1 spot. on a weekend you're a teammate basically, and you support the number one goalie. I feel like with last year Rocco being also relatively much younger than me, I think the age gap was like 10 years ish. I feel like there was a little bit different role. I mean, I never really talked to him about goalkeeping, but I mean, I have some experience as well. And I was like, hey, like I remember before the final, and I feel like you could feel like a little bit the tension, or I don't know if the tension is the right word, but like nervousness, like, and I was like, you know what, like, who knows if you're gonna get this game ever again?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the last time you will play a final in your whole career. Just enjoy this. Like, we got this far. Like, many people did not expect that. Like, I feel like we had a good team, but if you look at the league system, we are position 6, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a surprise. We play against the number 1 seed from the East, or top 2. I don't know what Charleston was at that point. So no one expects us to win necessarily. So just enjoy this game right now and do the best you can.
And what was the big difference for you between, obviously in 2021 with Orange County, you're the starting keeper all the way through and you lift the cup as the keeper, and then in 2023 you watched Rocco be the starting keeper and you were behind him. What was the big difference for you in emotions, like winning those 2 titles, still playing games in both of those seasons, but in 2 different roles?
I mean, emotionally, I don't know if the fans going to like it, but emotionally, the 21 with Orange County was bigger for me. Also because I played. It was my first title ever. Like, obviously, we had some academy and etc. But, like, professional-wise, this was my first title, being the starting keeper. So that was emotionally way more exciting, if that makes sense. On the other side, I feel like my role in 23 was a little bit different. Not being the starting keeper, but I feel like I was more a leader. I was someone who already experienced a lot. And I was more like someone who talked to the guys, like someone who, like a big supporter, like kind of like a number 1 fan on the bench, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I was. It's kind of weird, but I know I'm not gonna play. Like, unless Rocco gets injured, I'm not gonna play. So I think I was the most chill guy in the whole squad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I was ready, I was training, I was still competing, but at that point, I'm not competing anymore for the number 1 spot. It's playoff time. They're not going to change Rocco. They're not going to, Rocco dropped the ball, he's going to go out. So at that point, I knew I'm not going to play. So my role in this moment is to get our team ready, mentally, support them, motivate them. So it was a little bit different role. I accepted it, and it was still fun, not going to lie. But I would like to be more in goal than being on a bench.
Sure. We talked to Colin the last time, and Colin said even at his young age, he's a leader for this group because he's been such a professional for a long time. Do you see yourself with this group of all these new players, being a returner and an older, more experienced individual in the locker room? Do you see yourself very much as one of the leaders of this new PA team?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the oldest player in the locker room. What's crazy with at the age of 31.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna let you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 31. I mean, I feel young and old at the same time. But looking at these guys, I mean, they're kids who are born 2004, 2000, whatever it is, and I'm like, damn, I'm born 93. Like, I'm like a dad for them. But yeah, definitely leader. Trying to be obviously this year also leader on the field, hopefully. And then obviously I had a lot of experience. I experienced up and downs, and I feel like I can help the team with that.
You described those up and downs. Going back a little bit, you obviously played over in the Bundesliga. What's the biggest difference between playing in America and playing overseas? Just at an oversight, you've had multiple experiences across a bunch of European countries. What's the biggest difference that stands out for you between the two, like stateside?
Yeah, I mean, one big thing what is huge, and that's more academy based. When I look at all these college kids, etc. I mean, when I was probably in Germany, I don't know about other countries, but in Germany, my school had a cooperation with my youth team. So I was going to school for 2 hours, then I had 2 hours training, go back to school, and then I had goalkeeper training, and then I had training. So I left the house at 6 a.m., came back at 10 o'clock. And that was it, and that 5 days a week. So I had a week, I think I had like 9 to 10 trainings a week, plus games on a weekend.
When does that start? What age?
I think the first time I had that probably at 12.
So from 12 to
Till 18,
you are in school for 4 hours, training for 4 hours, and then you've got independent goalkeeping stuff. That's That's the difference in your mind.
That's it, at least in the academy base.
Sure.
Like that's when I talked to other kids here, and I was coaching also here in the academy. It was more not necessarily the MLS Next Pro, but it was just the normal, and they're like 2 trainings a week. And I'm like, wow, that's what I had one day. Like so, and then I just break it down, right? So they train 8 times a month. I train more than 8 times a week, and then we look at that in a whole year. So it's just a random number. They train 30 times a year, and I train 120 times a year.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Now do that times 5 years. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Why maybe the European, maybe the South American, wherever it is, are ahead of the American soccer, in my opinion. So
Okay.
of course now we're going back into MLS Next Pro. They different story. They train way more. I see that. We look at our academy. They are homeschooled. Some of them, some work with the schools together. So they join our training. So they train way more. But I think if you look maybe a little bit back in time, I feel there was a huge difference why the US was not there where the European soccer was.
Do you think maybe the introduction of data has changed that? Because you've obviously played professional soccer for well over a decade at this point, and you've seen sort of the evolution of how numbers and stats have sort of changed the way that even you prepare as a goalkeeper. Does that play into maybe the differences, do you think, stateside, or is that just an addition of the game?
Data-wise, I mean, at that point we didn't have data. I mean,
Yeah.
when I started being a professional, that was 2011. They're like, "How are you? Good, good. You feel bad? Good. I don't care. We're gonna still train." So that was our data at that point. Now, obviously, everything gets more public. So I feel like also teams, coaches, whoever get the data, get the information, how other teams, how other countries train. And I feel like everybody tries to get the most in. What I hear, I'm a big fan of podcasts, so I listen to some, and some said that actually the athleticism, damn, that word is hard, America-wise is probably number 1
Yeah.
in the world, 100%. Like I feel it goes almost more towards the American football style of like gym, etc., than soccer, if that makes sense. So this is way ahead. Maybe not anymore, but if we look back a few years, I feel like gym-wise, athleticism, America was number 1 in the whole world, and I feel like that's what Europe is maybe. Or I'm talking about Europe because that's where I'm from, but that's what they look up. I feel like a little bit from the US, and I feel like US is looking up now a little bit more the training load, etc.
Yeah.
Sure. To kind of finish off on some of the academy stuff, so you debut professionally in 2011 at Nuremberg,
Yep.
and then before that you're at Schalke,
Yeah.
the Schalke Academy. But then even going further back, you spent some time in Prague, correct?
Yes.
And with Sparta and Slavia, or just
Yeah.
Sparta?
Both of them. Yeah.
So what was the process? I would assume 12 years old or so, going to Prague and leaving wherever you were, training there, and then obviously bouncing around academies. What was that like for you to experience?
So I can give you a quick run how it was. So
Sure.
basically, at the age of 5, my family moved to Czech Republic. My
Okay.
dad was from Czech Republic. He had the job there. He basically just came home at the weekend. So at some point, at the age of 5, my family decided let's move to Czech Republic. Started playing. So before that, I was just for fun, village team, recreational, basically, you know. And then I don't know if it's my grandma knew someone from Dukla Prague. Dukla Prague, not really known here, but a big old army club, like big history in Czech Republic. Played there for half a year, I think. Then played on a tournament against Sparta Prague. Saw me, they wanted me. So went there. Everything was well at that point. 2 best teams, Sparta and Slavia, but with Sparta being ahead, kind of like looking at Bayern Munich,
Yeah.
Dortmund, kind of. They're both big teams, but so just to throw now, you have Peter Cech, you have Tomáš Vozicki, like they all were from Sparta Prague. But at that some point, I had a coach, and he's like, "If you don't speak Czech, you're not gonna play." And I'm like,
I don't speak
I mean,
Czech.
I'm 7, like.
Yeah.
I don't speak it, so changed clubs. So went to Slavia Prague. Slavia Prague was on the other side of the city. Prague is huge,
Yes.
at least for European wise. So I was living on one side, Sparta was on my side, Slavia was on the other side. So I did not make trainings on time. So I was training with 12-year-olds. I was 7. So I remember, I don't remember. My dad always told me, like, do you remember when you trained with the 12-year-olds and after the first train you had blisters on your hands because they were shooting too hard? So at some point, I remember one training, they did a shooting competition. They're like, the big guy, like, you, 30 yards and plus. You're not allowed to shoot closer than that. So, come back to the story. So, played there for 2 years, and then it was just too much. Like, driving, school ended at 1, driving 1.5 hours to training, 1.5 hours back. Meanwhile, we have a team, the best team, like,
5 minutes
5 minutes away from us.
So you learned Czech, and it all was fine, and you went back.
Yeah, well, I didn't learn Czech at that point, but so I'm a 93, and the 92 coach, his name is Martin Friedeck. He was a professional in Germany for Bayern Leverkusen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we reached out to him and were like, hey, this is a story. He knew me. His son is a 92. Also, the age groups are close together. So went to him. So I played, instead of going to my age group back, I went to 1 year older ones. And then I played for, don't want to lie, probably from 9 till 14 for the 92 one, Sparta Prague Academy. Won basically everything there. How I said, at that point, it was like a big difference. And yeah, so was 13. At some point, we wanted to know, do I have a chance in Germany, academy-wise? Because Czech Republic, yeah, not bad, but at that point, if you're not in the top teams in the Czech Republic, it's like semi-professional kind of. So go for a tryout. I think I had the lined up tryout with Schalke, Dortmund, Cologne, Leverkusen. So everything was like in the west. Everything is like 30 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
First tryout, Schalke. I'm 14, training with the under 17. So under 17 means under 17 beginning of the season. So there's some 18 years old. Training there for 3 days, leaving the parking lot, getting a call, we want you. Alright, so all the other tryouts cancelled, signed there, moved there from Czech Republic to Schalke at the age of 14. So moved away from home. Home was at that point 8-9 hours driving away, so not too far, but also not close enough to pick
consistently
me up.
Be there.
Exactly. So yeah, living by myself at the age of 14. Then played just Schalke Academy at that point. Why we also picked Schalke was at that point Schalke was really known for a good academy, but also really known for like a good goalkeeper academy. Like obviously Manuel Neuer, the big name, but then you have Ralf Fährmann. He is at Schalke. Sad story about him. He's on the bench itself, but they're screaming over right now. But yeah, was at Frankfurt, was everywhere. So Schalke was really known to get some big goalkeepers out of the academy. And ahead of me was like national keeper, like really good academy for that. So that's why we picked in. Yeah, so played there till I was 19. Under 17 and under 19, you have 2 age groups together. So you don't play your age group, so you end under 15, and you're going to play under 16, under 17 as one age group, and then you play under 18, under 19, one age group. After my first year in the under 19, the club wanted me to go to the second team, what is 4th division, and I said I don't want that. It's like 3 or 4 goalkeepers first team, 4 goalkeepers second team.
And
like
you're just going to get buried.
And I was like goalkeeper number 8, like in the professional order. I don't know what order I would have, but I don't want that. Like, I want a professional contract. I was at that point national league goalkeeper, fighting for the number 1 spot. Actually won it at that point, so didn't want to be buried under 7 other goalkeepers. So at that point, they were like, okay, we'll see what's gonna happen. They just didn't reach out to me, and then Nuremberg came and they're like, we're gonna buy you out. So they bought me, and then I moved to Nuremberg.
And you start your professional career there. Always a goalkeeper, though. Even when you were playing in the village team?
Yeah, village team is like everybody has to go in a goal. And I was started as a striker, kind of. I feel like a lot of goalkeepers did that. And then I thought if I go in goal, I don't have to run anymore. And now I'm training more than everybody else. So yeah. But
you were wrong.
I mean, I love to be on the field. I mean, honestly, I don't have the quality to be anywhere up there. I mean, I feel rec-wise okay. But I enjoy to shoot on goal. And I remember at the time when I was young, where I was like, I'm done playing goalkeeper. I just want to be a striker now. So I was really close to just stop playing, just start at the village again. Then they convinced me to stay in goal, and they're like, "Hey, we have some tournaments coming up, so you can be on a field a little bit." But yeah, basically, since I'm 5, in goal constant.
It's crazy.
Do you remember your first and only professional assist? It has you marked down with Nuremberg. You have one
Yeah.
assist. How did it happen?
Oh, also interesting story about that. So I think it was 2000. No, I gotta leave. 15.
Yeah.
2015. So I was, the first 3 years I was in number 2, mostly 2. And we got relegated. I wanted to leave actually because I got interest from another team, and then they were like, "No, stay. We plan with you at number 1. Everybody's getting cut. You're gonna get the starting spot." And I was like, "You know what? Then I stay." I mean, I had at some point a 5-year deal with them, so I was like, "I'm gonna stay. Good money, not gonna lie." I'm gonna stay,
Sure.
and didn't play, whatever. And then I finally got my spot. Coach who made me a number 1 got sacked 3 games later. So at that point, what was it, 2015? That means I was 20,
Math is hard for us too.
21,
it's okay.
22. I think it must be
21?
21, 22.
22.
22-ish.
We're in there.
Close enough. Coach comes in, and ahead of me was club legend, goalkeeper, won the German Cup with them, was there for over 10 years, and another keeper who came from Stuttgart. And he's like, "I want to go the tallest and the oldest keeper." Cool, I was the smallest and youngest. So he literally comes to me and is like, "If you don't deliver this game, you're out." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Cool, no pressure. Cool, so then that happened. Played against Ingolstadt. They were the number 1 seed in that league. They also got promoted that year. Good team. Then corner kick, catched it, side volley up front. Good volley, not gonna lie. But the touch of the striker was even better. He's full sprint, taking with the outside foot perfectly in his run. Runs around the keeper, empty
one of
that
those.
goal. Yeah, really good goal. And yeah, that saved me the spot for another 5 games until I dropped the ball somewhere and kicked me out.
And then he went back to the biggest and the tallest and the oldest.
There we go.
There you go. I guess when we get out of the youth stuff now, we look at coming to the States and Orange County after a stint in Belgium, and then you go to Finland. You talked about that's where your first was born. And you go to Orange County and you get a couple of years to be the number 1 there. And then you go to Phoenix, and you make the move here to Phoenix Rising in that 2023 season with Juan Guerra and company. And what has the time been in the championship like for you, and what went into that first move to come here and leave Orange County?
I have to say I underestimated the quality in the USL. Unfortunately, the USL and even the MLS doesn't get the recognition they should. Actually, I talked 1 week ago with a coach from LAFC, Steven Cherundolo.
Mm-hmm.
I played against him.
He was a long-time player in
Exactly,
Germany.
yeah. So, I mean, I did not play. I was on the bench against him, let's say it like that. We didn't have any contact. We didn't talk to that point. But when he was a coach at Vegas, we started talking, and he came last week to me, and we just talked. And then we actually talked about that the USL doesn't get the recognition, and same with the MLS, doesn't get the recognition from the European countries as it should, because there are definitely teams and players who would maybe not make the top teams or top leagues. But I mean, LAFC, they would be a good team in Germany, in my opinion. Would they play Champions League? Probably not. But we're looking at Buanga, we're looking at Giroud, we're looking at Hugo Lloris, we're looking at all these players. I mean, they're quality players. They would play first division top 5 leagues in Europe. So I feel like it's sad how the view is towards the States. But yeah, to come back. So I underestimated a little bit the quality, because I feel like tactic-wise, maybe US is a little bit behind, but quality-wise, individual players, quality is there, 100%, individually good players. And yeah, so the first 2 years, or let's say different, the first year was good. I think a little bit a surprise championship win, same with Phoenix.
Very.
Even though we ended up second, in our league. Like, it's not that we were like barely making the playoffs. Like, we were second. Phoenix was obviously ahead of everybody, but after that it was us. Um, and we had a good team. Like, we didn't have like the 5, 6 most individual players. We had Damas up front who was just scoring out of nowhere, but he was playing as a striker number 3. Like, I remember he got signed and we talked, and it was like number 1 was Adam Jan, who played here in Phoenix as well. Then the number 2 was supposed to be Eero Markkanen. He was a player from Finland, played at Real Madrid. People don't know that, but he was at Real Madrid at some point. Didn't got any games, but still, he had that on his CV. And then it was Ronaldo Damas, and then Adam Jan, knee injury, career end. Eero Markkanen, big injury, also didn't play for him. So Damas goes in and starts scoring out of nowhere. So incredible run. But yeah, other than that, we were like a really solid, good age players. Like, if I look at our play, we're all like somewhere between 27, 31. Like,
So
really,
all in your primes, all getting to the
Exactly.
points where you've played enough to know what's going on. You've been, you're physically at your best, and
Yeah.
it kind of all came together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I look at my defense, we had Brent Richards, who was a right back, just ended his career. He was probably like 28, 29 at that point, maybe 30, I don't know. Center backs were Rob Kiernan, past England Championship experience, I think even Premier League experience, Glasgow Rangers, so big name.
Yeah, we had
Um,
Michael Orozco
Michael
on that team.
Orozco, obviously huge, and left we had um,
Off the
Kevin
left.
Alston.
Yeah.
Kevin Alston, who after that ended his career probably a little bit injury based, and I mean, yeah. So if I just look at the back line, it's like experience, maybe a little bit over the prime, but still good in the prime. So if you're looking at that, it's like that also continued in our line. We have Dylan Powers, we had Tommy McCabe, now at Loudon, and then we had Eric Cavillo, captain.
Brian as well.
Brian
Orozco.
Elosky there. We had Mikko Kuningas from Finland, not in his prime, but he was just a character who fitted in it, and then Damos up front. So we just really fit really good together, and then found our balance. Coach got sacked halfway through the season. We went to a really basic 4-4-1-1 formation. Defense is a priority, and I think in the last 9 or 10 games we had like 7 clean sheets. And at the end of that, that's, in my opinion, why we won the championship, because it was really hard to break us down.
So obviously then you talk about that Orange County team being more experienced, physical prime, a couple guys past it. This year's Phoenix team is very young. Lots and almost all of the additions have been young guys. Like, for the first time, and it mortified Ryan, when we sat down with Colin Smith, it's the first person we've ever talked to
Oh my God! Yeah.
that is older. I mean, that he's
So
older than.
we're both in college.
Yeah.
We talked to Colin Smith, and when you're a college student doing the journalism, Patrick, you talk to a lot of people that are older than you.
Never
We sit
anybody
down with
younger.
Colin. Colin is younger than me, and that just I didn't like that. That's why you're here. I couldn't do it again.
And he wouldn't bring it up either. I slipped in and I was like, hey,
No.
Colin, but you're younger than him. And it was just like, just mortified. But this Phoenix team, so much younger than that Orange County team. What does that mean for you? Like, for your role as the goalkeeper, especially if you're going to be the number one and you're going to command the back line and be the leader, the voice of the team on the field. What does that change for you?
There's a difference between your young team and a young team. There's a young team who comes out of college, no experience, and then you have the young team who played MLS Next
MLS
Pro.
Next Pro, yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, I'm like split in my opinion about the MLS Next Pro. It's kind of like an academy league. On the other side, it gives an experience, right? So I'm looking at just a great, for me, great example, Noble. Noble, I mean, that kid is like, what, 6'4"? I don't know what.
I think he's 6'5" on his
6'4".
He's
Yeah.
not a kid. He's gigantic, but he is.
But he comes from MLS Next Pro.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, but that kid has experience. You look at him like, that's a man. That's not a kid anymore.
He's played for Canada.
There we go. So these kids are not kids anymore.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between a young team and a young team, if that makes sense. Like, and I feel like, yeah, we have a younger team age-wise, but people have experience. Maybe not experience in the USL, but with the MLS Next Pro. And it's not coming out of college, not coming out of academy like under 17, but coming from an MLS Next Pro, where they showed that they are one of the leaders, one of the best players, and they're making now that step into the man soccer. And I feel like they're going to underestimate it, like saying like, oh, we have this young kids, never played professional, but I feel like it's going to also help us not to have a target on our back, and on the other side, the kids are good. Like, I mean, I was also really skeptical. I mean, I have no experience about the MLS Next Pro, and I always saw these signs like, we're just signing kids. And then I see Noble, and I'm like, he's not a kid.
Yeah.
So, saying that we have a young team, but we are not a kid team. Like, we are a grown-up team, and I'm not really worried about that. And then come back to if I need to be a leader. I mean, generally, I feel like because of my age, because of my role, I am generally a leader. Doesn't matter if we are young or having that young of a team or maybe a more experienced team. But yeah, I mean, just based off I'm one of the longest players here. What's also crazy, I'm just here for 2 years.
Yeah.
And my age and my role in general, I like to be a leader. I like to be vocal. I feel like having the respect. I'm maybe not on the same page as maybe the younger people. You know, I have a family, I have a wife, I have kids, so we have different opinions. I'm coming from a different time also, you know, where you just train, etc. So, but at the end of the day, I think I have the respect, and I feel like people respect me, and just trying to lead and trying to just get us a championship here.
And you talked about having the target on your back. You said that last week, too, in the press conference about how being the title defense means that everybody comes in and just they want to beat the champs. You've done that twice now, and you talked about how this year it'll be. You said it feels good not to have the target on your back. What was that like last year, just going through every week and everybody coming into your home and saying that we want to beat the champs?
I mean, it's tough because we were the champs, but looking on our starting 11, we are not champs anymore. Like, there were like bunch of players gone. I feel like few of the most important players who took a big part of the champion left.
Yeah.
Mostly we got new players, and it's hard to have as good of players as Danny Trejo, as Manuel Arteaga. I mean, we got players like Remy, but Remy is a different player than Manuel Arteaga.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to get compared, but you can't compare them. It's just a different style of play. They have different roles. They have different positions. It's just different. You can't compare them if you look in detail into that. So it was really hard to say like, oh, you are new, Danny Trejo left, you are the new Danny Trejo. Yeah, that's hard because Danny Trejo also had maybe that experience of being here. He was a great player. You saw he went to Poland.
And then he goes to Poland, yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like it was really difficult, especially for the new guys coming in. And one thing, and I saw it the first day. I don't know if you guys came last year to a game.
Yeah,
we were at every game.
We were at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything at the intersection on the 38?
Oh, the banners or
the thing, Champions Tour.
Yeah.
If I would be another team, I would like, all right, we're gonna destroy.
Yeah.
Like that was like such extra motivation. Thank you. Like I saw that driving. I think they didn't put it up until almost the first game.
It was first or second home game.
Yeah, and I drive there and I'm like, why is this up? Like, come on. Like it's not that we are, let's say LAFC. They still have all their stars. Cool. Yeah, call it the Champions Tour because everybody's there. But we had a brand new team. That was so. If I would be a different team, I would be so motivated to just ruin their night.
Sure.
So, yeah. Sorry, I forgot the question now.
No.
It's a different target. You have a different task this year than last.
There we go. Yeah, so basically, experience with Orange County and experience with Phoenix Rising. I said last year, I was like, guys, doesn't matter who's here, every team is going to try to beat us. Looking back at 23, we played against SAC. I remember we played against SAC. They sent their second team. No, different. Maybe even the 4. Doesn't matter. They sent their second team. Midweek game. We were on position 7, 8.
Yeah.
Let's send their second team.
Yes.
Last year, boom. first team. Every team played basically their first team, maybe up until the end where we're not the danger. But the first half of the season, boom, everybody was sending their first team against us. What we kind of want, right? Like, I want that everybody plays with the best team against us. But there was just a different target on your back. It's like the champions, you go here in general, you know, if you come to Phoenix, you're going to have a great field, you're going to have great fans. Stadium is close. Looking at other teams, without saying any names, big stadium, 5,000 fans. 5,000 fans in a 5,000 stadium, great. 5,000 fans in a 20,000 stadium, cool. Don't even notice them, if that makes sense. So you always come here without even the target and being like, oh, that's going to be fun. You know, usually, besides maybe summer months, you're like, good weather, good field, great atmosphere, good locker room. Like, everything is good here. You go somewhere else. You go Oakland. No disrespect. Old stadium. Changing in a locker room. Locker room was smaller than this room. Telling you that. Small. Half the size of this.
Wow.
Then, walking on that field. It's a turf. Turf on turf. So you can lift that up. You play a ball straight, it's moving to the right, out of nowhere. Where you're just like, oh, God, like, also you want to play, but you're like, this is not fun right now to play. So everybody who comes here is generally motivated because it's cool. And I mean, I think every team catched up. A few years back, Phoenix Rising was probably the number one team in the USL, like before I even was in the States. I feel like now I don't think it's a secret. Looking at Louisville with the facility, stadium, is probably the number one team, like, overall. But after that, I think
the
there's
level
Phoenix,
is very
right? Yeah, because
tight
after
too.
that, there's definitely Phoenix with other teams. You know, I was at Orange County, and I mean, we didn't own the stadium. So every time after we trained, we couldn't leave anything there, so we had to pack everything up. Stadium was not ours. We didn't have the training field, so we trained in the morning. And then from 3 till 10 p.m., kids were training on our field. And then you go next day, then you see the whole field is destroyed. So these are things what are normal in the USL. So coming here and having your own training field, having your own stadium, being able to turn on the water is such a big upgrade to many, many other teams that people are like, I want to be here as well. You know, I mean, yes, I wanted to be here because my wife and family is here. But Phoenix Rising was also known, obviously, because of Didier Drogba. At least for me, that was the first time I knew about Phoenix Rising. But looking at just at the overall thing, people want to be here. So you automatically get that motivation against this team to be like, hey, I'm going to show them I should be playing here. So, yeah.
Last thing about that 2023 squad. You guys win the title, and you guys lose Arteaga, you lose Trejo over that offseason, but Carlos Harvey reports to camp with you guys initially. Did you guys know that he was on his way out, regardless of him coming to camp, or did he not? Was it just behind closed doors, and he left?
I mean, I did not really know about it, maybe up until the day off or the day before.
Yeah.
I think that maybe his closer friends knew about it.
Yeah.
You have to say also about our 2023 squad, we were really great on the field, but we also, I mean, we had the South American, same as last year. There was a language barrier. Like, we were great on the field, but offside the field, like, you had the Spanish speaking, you had the English speaking players. So I was not super much in touch with him. Obviously, we were all great teammates, liked everybody, but I did not know really about it. I'm sure that he knew. I'm pretty sure that his friends,
of course,
with a player of that quality as well.
Exactly.
We were shocked to see that he even reported. We had thought that he was going to be out before that, and then he leaves.
That's the next thing. I mean, he was young. He was playing well, so it's not a surprise. Like, it was how you said, it was a surprise that he even reported. Like, there was the expectation that he maybe leaves already during this off season. But yeah, I did not know it until the day off. Like, I mean, they reported earlier to us than to the public, but only got officially reported to us. I did not know about it.
Sure. With this group and now shifting fully to this team as we round this one out, you said last week that the new coaching staff is giving you guys a lot of new information, but maybe more importantly, you said new energy. When we get the videos on social media, now social media is always going to be the best of it. You're always going to see the best parts, but it does seem like a group that is really together, really tight and connected, even for the early portions of preseason, and having a lot of fun so far to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, coaches definitely leading by example. I think there's, again, a small line between now we're going to work and now we're going to have fun. And in my opinion, you can also have fun and work, but it needs to be at the right time. And seeing the coaching stuff, and I mean, mainly Pa is doing, I feel like, a really good job just giving that energy back. I mean, a lot in this league, in my opinion, comes also about energy. Like, if you have a team who's just going, they're gonna go over you. They're gonna just destroy you. You know, if you're a little bit careful, shy a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, if you just have a team on the field who's running and who's fighting and never gonna give up, the fans are hopefully gonna join that. And then you know that you don't necessarily need to win, but just having that energy from us, putting to the fans, putting to whoever is coming in the stadium, is gonna give us actually a big advantage compared to other teams. You know, people are gonna come here. I said earlier that with these fans, if they bring the energy, people are coming in like, wow. Like, I remember when I came to with Orange County first game here in Phoenix, I brought like 40 people from, like, you know, family, friends. I'm warming up. Phoenix destroyed someone 5-6-0 the day before, the game before. And someone from the Bandidos screams at me. I was like, goalie, if you only concede 5 goals, I buy you a beer. I just don't know. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Like, obviously, I knew, you know, I played in bigger stadiums, etc. But, I mean, in USL, I did not experience that. I was like, damn, what's going on here right now? It's a warm-up. Like, the game starts in 1 hour. Leave me alone. So, just coming back, if we get the energy on the field, we're going to play better, but we're also going to get the fans on our side. And I feel like that was missing last year. Not saying it was missing from the fans, but we also didn't deliver. That's just also fact. Like, we barely made it in the playoffs. Luckily, we made it into the playoffs because I feel like that made the season look okay. It was not a good season, but not making the playoffs wouldn't make it way worse. You lose against New Mexico, number 1 seed, expected. You know what I mean? So, but if we're really honest, it was not a good season. Like, you know, I remember Phoenix Rising of, like, if you get the draw in Phoenix, good job. Like, we are lucky. Like, and I feel like that's where we want to go back into. Like, if people come here, we are going for a win. If you get a tie out of us, you're lucky and you're not going to beat us. And we also need the fans for that. There are going to be games where we, without being mean, don't need them. You know, there are games where we're in a flow. It's going to be 4-5-6-0. But there are going to be games where we are not on our best, and maybe the fans can give us this extra percentage to win this game, or maybe tie in the last minute, or maybe keep even the lead in the last minute, whatever it is. So yeah, we want to just get that energy back on the field, and hopefully it's going to go back to the fans, and yeah, we're going to have fun, hopefully fun watching us.
Sure. And really quickly on the new information part of that, is there anything that Pa and the new coaching staff have brought in for goalkeepers specifically that Corey has maybe, your goalkeeper coach Corey Robertson, has tweaked to say, hey, this is something new we're trying to do on the ball, off the ball, or is it kind of just the same stuff with the goalkeepers?
I mean, for me, I feel like it's the same as last year. I feel like, especially Juan wanted us to play a lot with the feet. I like to play with my feet. Rocco was, for me, a little bit too risky.
Yeah.
Like, not that he was too risky, but the style of play was a little bit too risky for me. But, I mean, it worked out. But I was on the bench all the time, like, oh my god, okay, that was close. So now he was lucky. So I feel like we still want to play a lot out of the back. We're going to take probably a little bit less risk, like as we did maybe previously. But generally, it's the same style what we like to do over the last 2 years, or maybe even before that. So it didn't change much.
All right. I guess we'll close with this last one. How many goals is Riker going to score this upcoming season? I see it all the time on the social media, him scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play one more season in a rec program. Hopefully, he's going to be... I mean, he's in TK, plays kindergarten. I actually don't know how many he scored last season. I think probably around like 20, 25 goals.
That's
and
more
like
than Kevin would have scored.
8 goals, yeah. He'll be the leading goal scorer here in our team. Yeah, no, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to watch the kids play soccer, and even though I did not play, my son is the biggest fan of our team. Like, he is coming. I didn't play obviously much, but he was coming to every game, and the best thing of his week was coming to this game, cheering us on, go on the field after the game, and just play. And I just hope that we can have more memories of that, and just that the fans get the same energy.
Yes, sir. Makes you really want to win, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Patrick, thank you for joining us. Patrick Rakovsky, maybe one of the best storytellers I think that we'll ever encounter in this series, and one of the best storytellers across the USL Championship. Patrick, thank you for your time.